Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. The strangest ongoing mystery continues in regards to key important evidence, personal possessions of Noah Presgrove, and they supposedly are still out there somewhere, but we don't know where exactly or if they're still actually present, whether they've been broken down, burnt, destroyed, sold on, etc. We're going to be taking a look at an important Facebook post today, as well as extensive comments. Yes, it's going to be one of those videos where we're going to get really heavy in. So for those that are present during the live premiere, share your reactions and thoughts in the chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And after watching the video, and for those watching on catch up, leave your comments below under the video just to let me know what you think. What's your opinion on the key evidence, personal possessions of Noah Presgrove? Are they still out there? Have they been returned to family or not? Certain Presgrove family members have said they were never returned back. And then other people from the opposite side claim that they have been returned back. And then one individual in the middle that's claimed to be Noah Presgrove's mum, Casey Smith's ex, some person called Joanne. That's at least how it was spelled, but also known as Dwayne, who's claimed to have some items passed on to do with Noah. It's a little bit all over the place and we haven't really got anywhere since. So we continued the discussions today, we bring it back into play, see if anyone's got any updates, check if anyone, who's watching right now, leave any comments below. If you know of anything, if you've got your opinions, your theories and whatnot. Hopefully the sound is okay. I've got the window open. The window just in front of me, so there might be a bit more background sound, but it's extremely hot. It's about 28 in here, but just keep on going. If you want to watch recent videos of mine, very important ones, if you've missed out on anything, you'll be able to locate and watch it all. Top right corner where the eye symbol is, with the full playlist available on the Noah Presgrove case and some loose videos too. If you want to support the channel, there is a PayPal link below in the pinned message of the comment section. We will jump on into the Facebook in just a second, read the post followed by the comments. I just want to say that it is quite a focused video, so we're mainly just focused on Facebook. Unless I need to give some strong thoughts, then I can switch back to this camera. So without further ado, let's begin. This was 18 hours ago by Becca on the Noah's Ark for Justice page. It reads, I have it on very good authority that Noah Presgrove's items were never returned to any family members. Just so I'm crystal clear, the family does not have his flag tank top, hat, wallet, golf clubs, the missing sneaker, the Adidas one, black, socks or sunglasses. The black shorts were returned to Dalen, the brother, by Caleb Newton. Anyone in possession of these items needs to turn them over to Noah's estate attorneys, as these items are evidence. Now, I don't think the wrongful death lawsuit mentioned much about the missing items of evidence, if not at all. But beside that, yes, I am aware that the black shorts were returned. It was Partners in True Crime on one of their interviews podcast where they stated the black shorts were ripped, torn, damaged visually. And it was Alicia that either said to me on Reddit or elsewhere that Partners in True Crime are incorrect. They weren't ripped. How would Alicia know compared to Partners in True Crime? Who's seen Noah's black shorts and who hasn't? Not really seen Dalen comment on the state or quality of the black shorts, whether they were ripped or torn or whatnot. So anyone in the chat, you let me know what you can remember and what you think that's to be. As to the white shorts, the only shorts to be mentioned in the autopsy report. White shorts regarded as no visible damage or so, but it didn't mean to say that they were completely crystal clean. They could have had some, brown marks on, tyre marks, dust and dirt and things like that. But it didn't go into detail at the time. As for Noah's socks, I wasn't even aware that Noah had socks with him at the time of the party, so that's a new thing to me. The sunglasses, yeah, we saw them. either on the Saturday or Sunday in some of the party footage. I think his glasses were either over his ears or resting on his baseball cap. So yeah, as for hat, baseball cap, same thing. The wallet, I don't think there's been any transactions, so I don't know where the wallet actually ended up, whether it was opportunistic behaviour. Did anyone try stealing any money? Who knows? Golf clubs, rumours in recent time that they were sold onto a pawn shop. But why exactly? Why would people do that? The flag tank top in the early days is when you had those extensive claims and rumours that they were cut up into little pieces and passed out amongst different party goers, and Caleb tied in with that. Really far-fetched, no hard evidence. The only thing that I may have heard differently in the past was it seemed to be worded that it was Jack Newton that handed the shorts to Dalen and not Caleb. But either way, a Newton responsible, passing them on. And then I believe that's when Dalen washed the black shorts, not knowing of... I don't know if it actually washed away any evidence or not. I mean, when the shorts were handed over, were they returned fresh, clean, or never washed? I don't know about that. As for the comments section, what do people have to say? We might as well select all the comments. There is 200. Are we going to read all 200? I'm going to read out the most important ones, or the ones that stand out the most. And for anybody else that wants to catch up on the other comments, you can always pause the video and just read through it. Or you can go into the gear icon at the playback bar at the bottom of the video and just slow it down. So what do we have first? By Sherry. I'm not sure how Noah's things can be considered evidence, regardless of who has them. They've been contaminated by being passed around. No forensic testing would be valid. I'm just not sure what kind of value they would be to any case at this point. At this point in the case, I get that irrelevancy of it. But I think, in my opinion, that if there is so-called evidence, as in clothing and items which were on Noah at the time of his death, it's evidence. It tells a story visually, data statistically in some way. It can create pathways and leads to who could be responsible, who could have been present at the time, where it may have taken place, or the type of environment. It could tell a great story, but the longer it goes with these items not present, and if they have been passed about, or if they have been washed, it loses some of that value, of course. It loses that DNA to some extent. But I think the longer they're possibly held on to, or disposed of in some way, but if retrievable down the line, I'd say that's evidence enough to suggest a form of foul play. You know, if it's all innocent and fine, there is absolutely no reason to be gatekeeping so-called evidence, gatekeeping Noah Presgrove's personal possessions when the family are deserving of having them back for a level of closure, to remember and honour Noah's name and presence. So there's different ways of looking at it. It should be pretty simple that if there's items of Noah, possessions, just to return them back, or at least let the family know that you've got them yourself. But if there's been a breakdown in communication, or just no point in beginning because people would be incriminating themselves, then maybe, depending on the case. I just think the fact that there are items that are supposedly never been returned speaks volume itself. It may have lost evidence upon the items, but you could say, is there an argument to put across that the evidence points to possible foul play if items have been moved on or gatekept? Because why? It must be valuable to people that may be in possession of the items, or who may have passed them on to somewhere, that they value it enough to not hand them back over. But then the black shorts, well, they're an exception. You think personally, the hat, the top, if they're not to be returned back, but the black shorts are, if it's all clothing that Noah wore at the time of his death, and if anyone was responsible, you think they'd probably be withheld, not returned back, unless some items not returned back because some some were with Noah at the time of his death and other items were not. If you know, you've used to say the black shorts were not on Noah at the time because he was wearing white ones, and the black ones may not have that much evidence because they were taken off before Noah walked away, taken off before Noah died due to the shower situation. So it's not going to trace back to anyone. So yeah, you can give them back at least so it doesn't sound too suspicious. As for the hat though, as for the top, as for the wallet, the glasses, did Noah even have them items on him when he left the party, when he walked away? Likely not. As for his shoe, at least, his Adidas one, he had that with him, and that's not been returned back, supposedly, which is interesting. But to be honest, if the police, that's the thing, the exception, well, actually, when talking about the shoe here, it's going to be the Adidas shoe that wasn't on there at the time at the highway. That the I think it was it the left one, the Hey Dude, whatever. But Noah was wearing a Hey Dude shoe which belonged to Caden Pressey. So where was Noah's other Adidas shoe? Where's the other one at? Was it left? Is it that all items of Noah that he had at the party with him, with the exception of the phone, that remained at the house whilst Noah walked away, never to be seen alive again? Is there a pattern with things you leave behind at the party house are the things that end up not being returned back to either the rightful owner or those on behalf, the family? Is there an argument to put across there? In some way, yes, but the fact that Noah Presgrove left his phone behind at the party, but that was still retrieved and handed in to police and passed about appropriately. How come the other items weren't dealt the same way? I wonder. We got Rita to Tim Daniel, tagging him. You say you have no idea what the relationship is between everyone. Then you say there's a breakdown in communication between people. So you do understand the dynamics. You say it's important for others who aren't as familiar with things to understand that others believe the items are accounted for. Then you say Dwayne states very clearly and matter of fact he has items of Noah's, including tank top. You've communicated with him, according to you, in private messages. But you never thought to ask him about the items that are in question here, and you're telling others to just ask him. Why don't you? Well, why don't this Dwayne contact Noah's family as a whole instead of members of the general public? Now, as for this Dwayne stating that they've got this and that, I'll show you the screenshot of it later. You see it with your own eyes. You can let me know what you think. Be sure to stick around for that. Tim's response, I believe Dwayne. I have nothing to ask him. And you all can keep on being nasty to everyone and you'll see where that gets you in the area of information gathering. 0. You treat Noah's mother like she and pretend you support the family. Reread your comments. Think about your words. So you don't know if he has the items in question. Nope, I don't know nothing. So being a bit like that. Donna Bond says, I see everyone fussing about who has what. If Dwayne has the items, who gave them to Dwayne? Interesting. And what wax given to him? Wax? Candles? Well, I'm interpreting it from, and I can't remember if it will mention it in the screenshot comment, but we'll get to that later. My memory makes me think that Dwayne received them from Casey Smith. Casey Smith, Noah's mum, received the items, then passed them on to her ex, Dwayne. I don't know if anyone else remembers that, or if it's in line with any of the points. Oh boy, there's a lot of responses. In my opinion, only Dwayne can answer those questions, and it's a shame that Dwayne isn't participating in certain chats just to help clear things up. But someone had to have given him those things in the first place. And would it be police directly, or would it be someone in Noah Presgrove's family? And if it was someone in Noah Presgrove's family, why have they not reached out to the likes of Robin Smith, Ashley Chadwick, etc.? Brenda, I agree, someone gave him the items. He's the only one who can answer as well. With the civil suit in place, no one else is going to answer that without their attorney present. Someone will need to ask Dwayne if they want an answer right now. And Tim, he stated publicly, Dwayne, that Noah's mother gave his little girls and him the shirt to remember Noah by. Well, that's what I remember it by, yeah, from the screenshot. Noah's mother is the person who he says left items with him when she moved. He said his girls considered Noah like a brother. My question is why? Why wasn't the shorts and the shirt at the same time? This is actually a question for the family of Noah, not some hearsay. But it's a question for the family. It probably should be on the justice page then, where the family are. Here is more to all the belongings until I hear from a number of Noah's family. It's hearsay. No idea. It's a good question. All I know is that Dwayne said that's why I don't have answers to, but what was said I do have the screenshots of. Okay. I hope he will be available to testify to his statements he made about the possessions. He seems like a nice stand-up guy. Don't really know much about him. If he was a stand-up person, he'd be helping the family and maybe reaching out more, maybe. He would offer the tank top, Dayland's golf clubs back. I mean, like, I don't remember the clubs, but if the clubs were in the possession of Dwayne and they're actually belonging to Dayland, right, I think he should have them back, in my opinion, when they belong to him. There's a difference between possessions of articles of clothing before death and after, and that is a question I'm wondering about Dwayne, just my opinion. Right, so I understand that, Jamie. Kind of like what I mentioned earlier with that other person's response of like with evidence possibly being passed around with, contaminated, maybe washed in between, has it lost its original scent, lost its original evidence, etc. How valuable is it now in the case? My add-on point was some items of clothing and evidence may have been, well, would have been with Noah, but before he walked away. And when he walked away, leading up to his death, the items that he left behind aren't as important as the few items that were in his possession when he was walking away. And when he was walking away, what did he have on before any dodgy business took place? Supposedly mismatched shoes, a pair of shorts, whether they be black or white, depending which way you look at it, okay? And at least a necklace, chain, silver. That's about it. Did Noah leave his phone behind? Yeah. Could he have likely left his wallet behind as well? Probably. What about his sunglasses, his hat, his tank top? Were they left behind as well? Maybe. So how critical are they in the case? Maybe not so much. But were they taken in by police at some point to be processed at least? And the autopsy didn't acknowledge it there, but the autopsy is based on finding Noah where he was at the highway, and if items were left behind at the house, there'd be no reason to include it in the autopsy report. But did police, did partygoers gather any of the remaining items of Noah up, with the exception of the phone, and hand it in or pass it on to the right people? Not too sure about that. Let me know what you think. If the tank top was gifted to Dwayne's girls by Noah's mother to remember the person they grew up with, or who do you think he should offer them back to? Do you think someone other than Noah's mother should decide how to gift items that are legally her property now, assuming she did receive them, of course? So there's uncertainty there. So, I'm just having a bit of water because it's very warm. What do I think about this? Do you think someone other than Noah's mother should decide how to gift items? I think maybe the only other thing that could have helped, if it's true what's happened here, is if Noah's mother at least acknowledged it to other Presgrove family members, so then they were on the same wavelength of knowledge, because there has appeared to be a divide or a split amongst those that know and those that don't within the family, and that's the problem. That's this one. Dwayne says Noah's mother gave him tank top and the rest. She moved and didn't take Noah's things with her. She just left the things with Dwayne. Question is, who gave Noah's things to his mother? Would it be police? Or would it not be police? Because if those are items which weren't at the highway, weren't linked at the time of Noah's death, they didn't need to be processed the same way. Donna, you're fun, sweetheart. I just don't like people. Okay. Fessing it, Becca. Right, okay. Joyce Bergow. So several months back, I had spoken with a member of Noah's family and had asked them about Dwayne possibly having the tank top. The person stated they couldn't guarantee if he had it or not because Noah's mother could have gave it to him and they wouldn't know who she had got it from. Other things that possibly has may not be items he had at the party but other personal belongings. Right, so belongings of Noah, but not what Noah had with him at the party. Yeah, so it's not relevant to the case, but it's still something sentimental and close to people to remember someone by. I get that. Brenda, the attorneys will get confirmation on where Noah's belongings from the party house ended up. That'd be interesting. Oh, we got Siobhan. Has the source of this information reached out to Dwayne? That's the only question I have at this moment. There you go, make life simple, go straight to the source, which by the way I'm referring to Dwayne as the source of my response. Same, Dwayne's not just publicly spoken out, or given a bit more context. Miranda, why are y'all arguing with Becca about who has Noah's possessions? These aren't her words, she didn't make them up, she said on a very good authority, which means someone who can say these things said them. Probably one of the family members, right? Could claim on good authority to know certain things, no one would believe it without knowing the source. Appreciate it because I have no idea what I'm getting beached at for this. I didn't come out here today and say, hey, let's see what I can stir up on the pages. I'm confused because I thought getting factual information about what the family does or doesn't have would be what everybody wanted. Evidently not. Shirt, shorts and hat were given to various people. What's this one about? Very small, very interesting. Professional feed, I believe, is Robin Smith, the ant. Robin Smith on Reddit, 258 days ago, at least, said, no, Presgrove, the shirt wasn't cut up, but Noah's shirt, shorts and pants were given to various people. His wallet has not been found, and hat, not pants. Right. So you're saying, but his shirt, shorts, and hat were given to various people, not pants. What, were the pants missing or pants just not existing in the first place? The fact that Noah's wallet has not been found and that's actually missing, that's an interesting mystery. But, you know, things like the shirt, but the shorts, I don't know, it's very vague this because, you know, you got to have some confirmation in the first place to know that the items have been found at least and passed on to someone or some people, but it's spread about. And then someone like Robin Smith and Ashley Chadwick at a different point, they do that interview with Partners in True Crime and they word it as, well, such and such of items, kind of like what's mentioned on screen, have never been returned back to the family. Yet Robin seems to have an idea or knows that they're at least in possession of someone outside of the family. Does that link back to Dwayne? Or does it link to the party goers? Just to have some confirmation that the items have at least been retrieved, they've just not been returned back to the rightful people, is kind of interesting. But the exception of the wallet, which has not been found, that does stand out more. How come the wallet is completely missing? And does it still remain completely missing? Is it going to kick me off the page? I'm trying to press the back button, but it won't let me. Please don't do this to yourself. You blocked me. Oh no, we've got a bit of drama. We'll question it. It's always arguing. Don't let anyone make you feel. You shouldn't have brought this to the light. You didn't say Joanne didn't have Noah's possessions listed above. The family doesn't have Noah's possessions listed above to turn over as evidence. Once Joanne hands over the tank and maybe other items listed above, sworn to secrecy, then it will be confirmed as accounted for. Wallet? Was lost the day before? Maybe Sarah Long spoke too soon like she did about the shirt being cut up. Noah's missing shoe. What should be the biggest red flag? Sunglasses? I mean, sunglasses could have fallen off at the party or could have been placed down somewhere. Now, some of y'all are tag teaming up on Becca, trying to convince her Dwayne has something that belongs to Noah from that weekend. If he has it, it's obvious he has yet to hand it over to family for evidence. I think Dwayne could have at least provided a bit more context, as in, okay, received personal items, possessions from Noah Presgrove. What is it? Past, present as in the party and relevant, that would be considered evidence. Or the past, old clothing that and items that belong to Noah but weren't worn on the day at the time of Noah's death or the party, so it's not seen as evidence. Which way is it, right? It's not made clear enough, unfortunately, and all it takes is just one response by Dwayne. Andrea, or one, not even just one response by Dwayne, more so the response by the person that handed it over to Dwayne, because they would likely know if it is Casey. They would likely know if it's items of interest to do with the party or in the past. Andrea, some people believe Dwayne. Why would he hand something over that Casey gave to him? If Casey did indeed give it to him, it's clearly not evidence, or she would probably go back and get it. Yeah. It could turn out to be one big mystery which turns out not to be needed as a mystery, but because there is poor communication and those out there that may have the answers, they just can't be bothered giving an update, and that's a problem. Teresa, all evidence is gone most likely. Do you think that as well? Probably could do a poll. Not sure if to do it in the chat or on my channel page. Could be along the lines of, do you think that evidence is still out there to be collected, or is it too late now? Brenda, I understand what you're trying to do here, but in all honesty, and I mean no disrespect to anyone, Noah's family, including his mom and Dwayne, should have already had this discussion. Again, I mean no disrespect. And if they had this discussion, yeah, just there we go. If they've already had this discussion, there's a chance that when it came to Partners in True Crime, if there had been clear communication, then Ashley Chadwick and Robin Smith wouldn't have been completely in the dark about that, from like how they worded it then. We've got Keeley, welcome. I agree, it should have already been talked about, but in the end, if Dwayne has all these items, they should be turned over to Noah's estate, whether they're evidence or not. But if it was Noah's estate, part of Noah's family, mother directly, who, passed them on to Dwayne afterwards, then I guess Dwayne shouldn't have to be forced to give it back based on that. Say it could be possibly evidence. Well, just need to know the context of what the items and possessions were, and specifically, were they what Noah had with him at the party or not? Because if not, then it's not evidence. Brenda, then a representative of the estate needs to contact Dwayne and request to do so. How would he know to do so if no one informs of him? Exactly. I was asked to put out this information and correct the misinformation that's been out on the pages. This is the information they want out. They, as in Noah's family, I guess. He does not have those items. The only item that he said he had was the tank top flag shirt. That has not been confirmed. Those items listed are items that the family does not have. Right. Maybe we go back to the top. Items listed what the family does not have. Does not have the flag tank top, the hat, wallet, golf clubs, the missing sneaker, Adidas, socks in general, pair, or sunglasses. A handful of items, quite a few. Right. Shirt, shorts and hat were given to various people. Yeah. But it's okay saying it's been given to various people, but do we know who those various people are? He said he had other items of Noah's. So, yeah, there's that to acknowledge. He didn't list those, so we have no way of knowing. Yeah, it's very vague. It doesn't help. Dwayne hasn't helped. Whatever happens from this point forward has nothing to do with me. I was asked to share this, and that's all I'm trying to do. What's this one here? Let's see. It doesn't give a response to who said it. Don't you think if Noah's attorneys filed a wrongful death lawsuit on behalf on Noah's estate claiming they think he was beat to death, that his baseball cap, wallet, socks, shoes, sunglasses, wallet, golf clubs would be evidence they would need. I mean, even if Noah had those items with him at the party, but he put them down, placed them down at different points and did not pick them up afterwards. And when Noah did walk out of the house to walk away to cool off, if that's what he did, these items listed here, if they remained at the house, would then wouldn't be as relevant to Noah's death with the exception of the golf clubs if you think it's a beating. It's not just any person, Brenda. What's this? The person who asked you to do this knows it too. And it's not any person. An important person, and it's such a headache. It's like he's not sharing what he has with Noah's grandmother, which I find very sad. His grandmother was his world, and in my opinion, if anyone deserves his things, it's her. But I'm not to be given to her. Well, that's and his mother leaving and just leaving his things behind speaks volumes. Someone is saying such and such confirmed, and they're having you respond. Question. If Dwayne publicly says he has Noah's tank top and some other items isn't confirmation, how are the answers to the questions you are currently asking confirmation of anything other than more people being subpoenaed for something they read on Facebook? I feel bad that you're getting hounded, says Keeley. Everyone needs to stop. Tim, Daniel, George Choden, Siobhan Setzer, Andrea Chabrov, and a few others. Just stop it. You don't have any facts, just quit it. I know you want all of Noah's friends to be innocent, but I don't believe they are. It may have been just a horrible accident, but they didn't help. They didn't do anything to help the accident. I'm sorry, I will never feel any different. But, Tim says, what an awful thing to say. Noah's mother raised him until he was 16, and Dwayne and his girls lived with Noah for 7 of those years. Wow. You have not the slightest clue about these people's lives and what his mother must be going through. And that is none of our business. Every family has issues. She lost her child. Do you have a soul? And I get cold, dark side. You're a very cold-hearted person. These kind of posts from Jan Fiorillo are designed to manipulate and divide people, and they do just that. I typically enjoy this group as until this post, it has been a place where everyone has had a voice. It's been a pleasant group to interact with, people I normally don't have the chance to hear from. This kind of comment on Noah's family should be off limits. Which was Rita's comment? Where's Rita's comment? Was it this one? To do with Noah's grandmother and why things should have been handed her way, more deserving of. We've got Tammy. If I remember right, Jack Newton and Caleb were said to have passed the items out later that day. And if I remember right, Ellie was supposed to have given the items to Caleb instead of Noah's family. But why? I hope Noah's family's lawyers ask the people they call for depositions about this. Maybe they should call Dwayne to talk about it. There we go. We've got Robbie Taylor showing up. There's a lot of responses, I know. The issue I have with this post, you are putting it out as facts with no proof where it came from. Right, so like no screenshots, no text messages, no, visual notes to say, look, what's been stated here or passed on is directly by this person, that family member, or that level of authority. I mean, it's a bit of a balancing act where, I'm not saying it's absolute case, but if you got Becca who's reached out to someone or someone's reached out to her, key person such as a related family member, victim's family, and they say, can you pass this message on, but can you not include my name out of privacy, respect for privacy? And that's what Becca does, gives a heads up, states it as a fact or as the reality at this moment, based on what people have told her, and it's correct, but she can't give credit or give a source directly to where it came from, because then you'll be breaking the trust factor. It kind of puts you in a difficult position. You're the messenger, you're acting on behalf of somebody else because you want to spread awareness yourself and you want to help people learn, but then you're also caught up in having to respect other people's wishes and not share names or faces or screenshots of those messages which have been passed on in the first place. So all the words and the facts have to come from your mouth, which is deemed as second-hand information, not directly given from the original source. Second-hand information can be good enough if hard evidence is provided, like a screenshot as to where it originally came from. But if you're advised or told you can't do that out of respect for the wishes and in order for conditions to be met, so then you can pass stuff on, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, and it puts Becca in an awkward position. That's why when I do my videos and I'm saying, right, this is what Caden said, this is what Alicia said, and so on, based on what I've seen visually from the horses' mouths, and I'm relaying it to you, but I'm not showing the screenshots because I'm not allowed to, or it like breaks the trust factors, respect for people's privacy, other people on the end of the conversations, and so on. In order for things to work, conditions have to be met. But I do always say in my videos that with what I'm saying, based on what I've seen with my own eyes, it's okay if you don't believe it, because I know you'd probably want to see it yourself with your own eyes, but it's just not possible. So I'm just basically passing it on with what's been said, either strongly quoted or somewhat summarised. And for a range of people, it seems to be good enough, which is a big positive. And then for other people, it might not be, but I understand that. I think what we do also need to mention is, whilst Becca could be called out for stating this as a fact, this and that, because it supposedly is, and it's what's been passed on by key people in the background, at the end of the day, when it came to me posting hard evidence and material when I was able to, that wasn't good enough for a handful of people who said, well, it's fake, it's manipulated, it's altered with, it's not real, where's the original, people complaining when hard evidence is provided. So if humans can't be pleased when hard evidence is shown and the original source is provided, then what chance does Becca stand when she's the messenger trying to help people learn, spread awareness, and on top respect the wishes of the other person or people in the background that reached out to her in the first place? It's a juggling act. It's a messy situation. Keely says to Robbie, what makes you think Becca is not telling the truth? Tim has also not shown proof that Dwayne has Noah's things. Well, no, there is proof, Keely, based on what Dwayne says. There's a screenshot of it, and I'm going to show you at the end of this video or later on. Robbie, the conversation with Dwayne is in the discussion group. Screenshot. Dwayne himself states he has it. That is not hearsay. Becca stating what someone else told her is hearsay, not fact. I'm just pointing out the same rules about facts have to apply to everyone. So basically, if Becca was stating it as a fact in her words, but then she attached a screenshot from who originally stated it, then it'd be more of you're getting first and second hand information, and that would be good enough. But once again, if you can't give the original source, you can't give the original screenshot and stuff because you've got respect for people's privacy, you're kind of put in a bit of a tricky situation. I guess the only thing you could say is, in your post to protect yourself, defend yourself, is this is the situation, this is what's been said, what's been passed on to me of good authority too, in brackets, I don't expect you to believe in it, and if you don't, that's okay, but I'm just here to pass on a message. If you worded it like that, then you might get treated more leniently. Sometimes you just got to add extra words in, but besides that, Siobhan to Robbie, bingo, if Noah's family, whoever it wants to make a statement, then they should make it themselves. Have a platform to do so. Like the main page, the Justice one. Why is Noah's family passing messages on to individuals, but they don't want to come forward themselves public? Is it because of to do with the wrongful death lawsuit? Is it because they want to lay low? Is it because they're in danger? I wonder. Tim had a conversation with Dwayne, first-hand knowledge. Tim and Dwayne has said so in these pages. Then it could be screenshot for those of us who can't see the family's page. Becca, I'm waiting for the word to tell you where I got my information from. It's absurd. the links you'll go to trying to discredit somebody with information directly from the source. So Becca is just wanting to give the source, wanting to give a heads up where it came from, but if you've not been given permission yet or clearance, you've got to take in mind that you've got to build some kind of rapport, and you've also got to build some kind of bridges by passing things on. It might not do much good for you. You get caught up in the flack of it all. But if down the line it can strengthen, and then those that originally reached out to you in the first place then say, yeah, you can use this as evidence and you can use that, and then you can bring it all back in and reinforce. But at this moment in time, it's just not possible from the looks of it. Robbie says, Becca, that is awfully hypocritical of you to say. I've read a number of comments just today, how you want nothing but the facts. Hearsay is not facts, and honestly, after what you posted and then deleted about the kids, I have a hard time trusting anything you say at this point. Deleted about the kids, I don't remember that one personally. I probably wasn't around to see it. I know it's so simple. If he has the tank top enough items, take a pic, post it. That will not happen because it's not true. It's not true, as in Dwayne does not have Noah's items in general. Or more so, Dwayne does not have Noah's personal items and possessions which were at the party. But Dwayne does have possessions of Noah which are irrelevant, not linked to the case whatsoever, like old clothing, alternative clothing which wasn't used, worn or taken down at the party. Could be like that. It's pure evil period, give his family his stuff. Oh my god, there's a long one there. Check all the responses. Not that we have to read every single one. I'm going to try and skim over it with my eyes. There's a lot of responses here. Okay. Tim, that depends on who you consider family. I've seen a long conversation with Dwayne, and he states very clearly, and matter of fact, he has items of Noah's, including the tank top. I told family about this when it happened, as they were not in the discussion group at the time, so left in the dark. Dwayne stated, okay then, so Tim, when you told family about Dwayne, what was their reaction and response to it? Now, when you told Noah's family, did you tell Ashley Chadwick and Robin Smith about Dwayne? And if you did, was that before or after that Partners in True Crime interview, the last one done in 2024 with Jack Newton, pre-recorded interview, and Robin Smith and Ashley Chadwick reacting to it on that podcast? If you did it afterwards, I understand. If you did it before and you reached out to maybe Robin or Ashley, I'm just surprised Robin and Ashley would be wording it as, we don't know where the items are, they've not been returned back. It's a complete mystery. Because at least in that last interview, and even onwards, I personally have not seen Robin or Ashley make any reference at all to Dwayne. So, what is going on? Anyway, he did live with Noah for 7 years, stated that Noah's mother gave him the shirt to him, and his daughters, lived with Noah, stated when Casey moved out, she left many belongings with him, including Noah's items. I'll not be sharing screenshots of that conversation as it was private and out of respect for Dwayne and Noah's mom. Well, based on that, Tim, just that sentence that you've heard and you've reached out to the relevant people, they've said what they've had to say, you wanted to respect their privacy, but in your own words, based on what you've heard and seen firsthand, you've kind of summarised it here, fair enough. Isn't that what Becca has done to some extent? And that unable to share it visually because of privacy, because of respect for privacy and just not being allowed to. There's a bit of give and take. Anyway, it's up to him. But I don't think he will be talking on social media again. Why is that? Dwayne attempted to share what he had in the groups and was met with very disgusting words, people calling him a liar, and that he probably bought the shirt on Amazon. He was instantly shut down, and he said he will not be speaking on Facebook again because of how awful people treated him. So you can believe what you want. I believe Dwayne. I believe it was Noah's uncle who came on in his defense and stated that Dwayne has no reason to lie. Very sad how it went down. In my opinion, many of the items are accounted for. You can choose to believe whoever. So my question is, Tim Daniel, in terms of the golf clubs, where do you think they ended up at? Because, okay, the other items are Noah's possessions. Noah is no longer alive to keep a hold of them. So instead, other people receive them as like a way of honouring and remembering those that are close to him by blood, by friends, and so on. But the problem is with the golf clubs and the golf bag is they were not Noah's possessions. They were actually Dalen's. And if Dalen is saying, or was at the time at least, was saying he never received his golf clubs or golf bag back, well, where is it then? Because shouldn't Dalen be deserving of that when it's his own items, which he paid for at some point in the past? Where else are they? And why did they disappear? Why would anyone do that? It's a bit weird. But the other question is, Tim, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But do you remember, Tim, who were the named individuals that were giving Dwayne a hard time and calling him a liar? Was it people from the light side, from the dark side, in between the third group? Who was it? Was it any familiar names, any vocal loudmouths? Because any of them, it just goes to show how things can be ruined in a case when it comes to trying to learn from the public side, that other people burn bridges down with one another, and then it has a knock-on negative effect for everybody else that wants to learn, and from there is left in the dark about it. And then, in addition, Tim says, I have no idea who you're communication with. They can ask themselves. He made it clear he didn't want Facebook strangers bothering him. Feels extremely inappropriate. Becca says, stop responding to Tim. Wait, Tim, what? Tim Daniel, stop responding to Tim Daniel. How does that make sense? Anyway, I don't care what you think. This isn't call you out, Tim. I was asked to put it out for them. That's it. You're arguing with somebody that isn't even trying to argue. Tim, I'm not arguing. I thought I was sharing valuable information that the family might be interested to know. I'm done with this. Very rude when I'm trying to be helpful. Seems like, well, actually what's this? Y'all can find those screenshots yourself. So Tim Daniel, which screenshots are you referring to? What, the one by Dwayne? If it is, I'm going to show that a bit later, just the original one. But if there are any additional screenshots, Tim Daniel, and they need awareness to be spread for the right reasons, if you want to reach out, you can. If it's other stuff, I mean, which has not really been seen or I've not seen before. His mother didn't care enough about his things. It should go to Noah's estate. I never said anything about his cousins and aunts. I said his grandma who lived with his brother and sister. So you expect Becca to tell everyone who she has been talking to, but you won't ask Dwayne to show proof of the things he has got. Tim responds, Jan Fiorillo, it's Jan Fiorillo, so no, I'm going to do Jan's dirty work. Wait, is that being sarcastic? Chell Ann, not seen Chell Ann for a while. Just a question in regards to you saying if a child dies, that items are to be given to the next of kin. I completely understand that and agree. However, in the case such as Noah's, when he had himself emancipated, would his next of kin no longer be his parents? I believe he lived with his grandma. Deborah Smith. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but in this case, would his next of kin be his grandma? Do we have a response? It's a good question, but Noah was over 18, so emancipation wouldn't play a role. If he had no will stating otherwise, his belongings would go to the next of kin, which are spouse first, which he didn't have, children second, which he didn't have, and then mother and father third. So I'd expect the things to go to his mom and dad, and they can do what they want from there. And as well, Keely says, I'm so tired of you, George, Siobhan, Andrea, and Mike, acting like you all have the answers and all the facts and everyone else doesn't know anything. You guys are funny. You don't know any more than the rest of us. Bit sad because he obviously made the choice to be emancipated prior to being 18 for good reason, so you'd think his wishes prior to turning 18 would be taken into consideration. Best outcome is Noah's family all coming together at a tragic time such as this and working it out together. But I guess for reasons unknown to us, that's not a possibility. So like a split, a divide, a breakdown in communication, possibly. On top of it, even when it came to the social hosting laws, the petition, the original one in the early days, how some thought it was a good idea in the family. I think it was Madison Rawlings, Dalen, brother, sister to Noah, but then cousin Ashley and Robin didn't agree with it, didn't think it was the right time, so there was division to some extent. Yanitza, why won't this post solve anything? Because some of you think so. How is that? Anything can help. So who are we to say such a thing? I don't care if we're talking about a hair, because if that hair can help with something, then so be it. But here are some people who seem to go against every single thing that can help. Why? It's clear these people will never be satisfied with any post on this page. Well, the thing is, Yanitza, when it came to people from the army page and the light side, when I, the catalyst Warlight Ref, was the first person to publicly reveal never seen before party footage, never seen before Snapchats from the party, even in which the biggest YouTubers out there, 10 to Life and some others, but have no material of that, but I am the catalyst behind sharing it for the first time publicly on YouTube, that when I showed that, people from the light side, the army page, dismissed it and said, nope, we don't believe in it, it's fake, it's not good enough, always got an excuse to complain. So if someone like me, the catalyst, can present hard evidence or some form of physical material which you can see with your own eyes and work with, and with a timestamp too, if that's not good enough, then someone like Becca, that's trying to spread some kind of awareness, some kind of heads up, and is told to by somebody else, providing it's a key person and possibly a family member, what chance does Becca have? Okay? If people can't be pleased by what I do with hard evidence and visually sharing it, then anyone else that's just passing on a message, they're just going to get shot down immediately. But it always comes down to language and wording. You can find a way through it if you use the correct wording. Yanitza, I always knew Tim was bluffing when he said he didn't know them, but all of a sudden he spoke like them and acted like Mike. They act like they were at the party, like they know the kids and family, and like they know they were the moment Noah died. You just have to let them keep talking and observe how deep these people are when it comes to defending those we've questioned. Oh, we got louder milk, not seen there for a while, and no man is going to jump in this case and get so damn emotional. I only have time to dedicate to this case because my husband works 80 plus hours weeks. Wow. Do you mean to tell me that these grown ass men have all day, every day to sit online defending these kids? But wasn't the counterpoints by people that were calling out Justin Roy having all-nighters and all days or something when commenting or being repetitive as a broken record online? Or is it just one-sided? Men from the dark side are demonized, but men from the light side get a free pass. I don't know, is it a bit one-sided? Depends how you look at it. I mean, in fairness, you could say, well, Warlight Ref, you're covering it quite often, are you not? Well, I'm a content creator, so I guess there's a bit of a backstory there, isn't there? There's a reason why one's able to do it and stick to it and focus. But beside that, deeply invested in these cases, and it's not because of Noah, it's as if they live for this to prove everyone else wrong and themselves right, and of course making us feel bad for thinking their loved ones are guilty of what happened to Noah. We see who they really are, being out of place. I'm sure there's psychological factors to give context as to why people are the way they are in these communities, specific people and characters, regardless of what side they're on. And maybe I'll do a video on that sometime, or I could do a live stream more so, go into it in depth. Right, so it's very back and forth. Robbie says, are you stating that Dwayne is lying? The thing is, and I'm just going to give you my point of view once again, and I'll give you I know, Robbie, you're not talking to me, but I'll just give you a perspective, Robbie. I feel that there could well be a chance that what Dwayne says is the truth, but what Becca says, or to some extent, is the truth as well. That Dwayne does have Noah's personal possessions to some extent, but those personal possessions are not relevant or were present at the party that Noah attended. It could be other clothing elsewhere from the past, from back at the house, When I say back at the house, I don't mean the party house, but where Noah was living at. Right. Are you saying his mother shouldn't have it? Casey gave stuff to Dwayne, who had been part of Noah's life for years. Noah loved his mother. You can see it in the pictures. It's insane how they're acting. Oh, thank you, Robbie. I'll go tell them that Casey gave it to Dwayne. Is this Jan or Pam? Oh, no. Why are you so concerned and obsessed with my source instead of evaluating the actual merits of the discussion? All I would say from the outside perspective, if good authority, whether that be true officials or if it be members of Noah family, that's what matters most. If it is other random people or general public that are acting as some kind of authority, but beside that, no, that's not what I'm saying in any shape or form. I know it's hard for most of these people in these groups to understand confidential source and keeping that trust and confidence without betraying them for a few heart emojis and clout. So not family, thank you. Oh. Right, so I guess this has been like cut down or trimmed down or at least blanked out so you don't see people's names or profile pictures. So is this like an example of a comment which was given to Becca, or the person behind this text is the person or people that have reached out to Becca as that form of authority to state what's not been returned and what is missing in general, and that Dwayne does not have this or that? I know it's hard for most of these people, as in the general public, in these Facebook groups, to understand confidential source. Keeping that trust and confidence without betraying them for a few heart emojis. Well, to be honest, it's exactly what I've done to some extent. The confidentiality, or more so, how the material is displayed. I've already demonstrated that on my channel, and most people were patient and understanding, which was a big positive. And then with time, it got a little bit more lenient, was able to make it clearer, and it worked. It can work. You can't expect the general public to believe in you, but you could at least just say, this is what I've been told. It might not be good enough for you, but I'm just doing it anyway, just for that awareness. But Tim's interpreting that what's been said here to Becca or to people in general, who could be the same person that told Becca the important message to pass on, but it's not a family member. But let's just see, Tim to Becca. It was very disingenuous of you to insinuate that family asked you to share this. You've been on my ass lately about being forthcoming about how I word things, facts v opinion. I find this hypocritical. And now Jan can do her own research. Oh God, I hope there's no links to Jan Fiorillo. What's this one? Tim, you just keep jumping to conclusions, proving that's exactly what you do, and then you call it proof. Well, if this person calling Tim Daniel out is this person here, and the same person that reached out to Becca in the first place as good authority, it's likely not a family member just based on this language and wording. I could be wrong. I could be. But it seems more like maybe a familiar name within the community. And that familiar name in the community, who could that be? And whoever it is, are they in link or connection with Noah's family? Is it first, second-hand information, third, fourth-party information? How deep does it run? Sherry to Tim, I have a feeling that it is one of the two. One of the two what? What, Pam or Jan? Tim Daniel, insults from a mysterious source who just lost her shot at me sharing the screenshots of what Dwayne said about the items he has. Well, Tim, you let me know, okay? We've not even got to it yet because I'm trying to read all these comments. But at the end of my video tonight or today, whenever it is for you, you let me know if the screenshot what I have is the one what you have. Because if you've got any more and you want some awareness, I could analyse it. Several months ago, she spoke to a family member as stated, says Valeri. What? Who? Becca? I know it's stated she gave Dwayne the tank top, which as a mother I really don't understand. Why? As a mother, I don't understand why. Well, you know, the mother who was with Dwayne and Noah Presgrove in the middle. Noah close to Dwayne, maybe. Dwayne close to Noah. Parting ways at a later point in time, but having something to remember him by. As long as it's not a complete stranger, it makes sense why things would be passed on. What doesn't make sense, I guess, is if there is a breakdown in communication amongst the family themselves, as in saying, right, this is where that's at, this is where this is at, and who's got it. Just a bit of communication there would help within the family, based on how it's gone previous. I didn't say she shouldn't have it. It was my understanding she doesn't have it, but that Dwayne does. That gave the tank top to Dwayne, and when she left the other stuff. In saying that you think the grandmother is more entitled to his things than his mother or father. Oh boy. Of course, you can pause the video if you want to read the other comments, right? If I evaluate the statement you made, it's important to know and evaluate the source. I don't understand why it's that hard to understand. Also, asking for the return of the clothes in these groups going to accomplish. No one is here. I mean, common sense would mean that those in the background, family members related by blood or some kind of relationship, but not truly by blood, they should know and use common sense to know whether the items, what they've received or been given, need to be handed into police. Because, you know, it's trying to understand that, like, when it comes to the Mikey Lair Snapchat, when it comes to the Pepe Guam video and Mikey Lair under that traffic cone, that's footage which was on a phone which was once in the hands of police. So once that phone was handed back and the funds was given up, that, yeah, it's been processed or it's been cleared, whatever, you can now do whatever you want with it, and then it can be made public. You can see an order and a process to it. That something like that wouldn't need to be handed back to police because it's already been in the hands of the police, checked through thoroughly, and then given back. In terms of these items which Casey had, which Dwayne had, were they ever in the hands of the police to begin with? If they were in the hands of the police to begin with, and then they were released and given out to one person, and then spread out by that person, then there doesn't need to be an entitlement of, right, round them all up, they need to be handed to the police. They don't need to be handed to police if police had them in the first place. But do we know that? I don't know. I don't think so. What else do we have here? Not at all. In fact, I told them exactly how you guys would react. It was a very typical response of you guys. Them. So it appears to be one person. Did we get through all the comments, Dan? Did we get through every single one? I just want to double check, okay? Sometimes you don't get it all. Is that actually all of them? At least from what I can see on here, it looks like I might have acknowledged most of them. Kind of got through that quicker. Apologies if I did miss out any comments. It's just like, from what I can see on screen, I've looked at all of them. I know the comments have been turned off so no one can add on any further because it does seem to be just going round and round in circles. But now's the time to look at Dwayne's comment, what he originally claimed. The original screenshot of this was doubled, as in like double vision. What you see here, there was a copy and paste on the right hand side, but I blanked that out because it was just too distracting. This is all that was shown or screenshotted at the time, all we've got to work with. If there's any additional screenshots which go in further, I've not seen. And if you want to reach out with them, feel free to do so. Links to social media on the channel page. But let me zoom in, just make it a bit easier for you to see. Dwayne said to Pam in the past, months ago in 2024, the tank top wasn't cut up or spread amongst anyone. Casey had given the tank top to me and my daughters. All this commotion over all this time. I even read where someone posted that they demand whoever has it to speak up. It's so disheartening to see people act in this manner, and mostly it's none of their business. Now, what tank top? Could it be a tank top, the one which Noah wore to the party up to a certain point? Or is it just a tank top which Noah has worn in the past and it wasn't worn or taken down to the party? Because Dwayne is specifically referring to the claim of Noah's tank top from the party being cut up and spread about, and Dwayne is saying, no, it wasn't cut up, it was given to me, that language and wording implies that Dwayne does have Noah's tank top, the one from the party, based on this language and wording, right? If poor language has been used and it's not been meant this way, as in it was truly meant as just an irrelevant tank top, but it links to Noah, just not taken or worn at that party. It's like another one from the past. Well then, yeah, it's just unfortunate because when you look at the words specifically, tank top, the tank top, makes it quite bold and referring to and countering the rumour of it being cut up. The whole point where people were talking about it being cut up was specifically the one that Noah was wearing at the party, cut up as a means of what? Disposing of evidence, tampering, destroying it to some extent, acting as a memento so as many people get a piece of it. And Dwayne said that didn't happen. I have it, so I know it's not been cut up. Well, was it handed in to police at any point though? If so, well then I guess Dwayne's entitled to have it. If it was never handed in to police and police thought it was of importance, then maybe it should have been handed in then. Anyway. Oh, so his American tank top was given to you guys, and Dwayne says, and more. Meaning he means yes, but he doesn't actually say yes. Right? And more as in more items. It's irrelevant anyway. Why is it irrelevant then? To anyone who doesn't know who us, and this is why we don't reply when we see everyone arguing about him. We was blessed with several years with this tight family. Me and my girls loved all them so much. I just hate seeing all this fighting between people. Well, I'm just finding it interesting, for Dwayne to say, yeah, I've got the tank top which Noah wore at the party and it's not been cut up, and I've got more items as well, but it's irrelevant. How is it irrelevant then? Just based on the comments by Dwayne specifically. The only other one that was mentioned, and it's a bit of an odd one, odd as in it doesn't directly link to the case, but in terms of possible breakdown in communication, there could be an ongoing theme which dates back to November 21st, 2023 by Casey Smith, Noah's mom. And this was on Facebook, okay? I've not seen anyone mention it ever since. Casey said, I didn't mean before the case. I meant earlier on in the case because it's November 21st, 2023, post-death of Noah Presgrove, right? Made that clear. Anyway, Casey says, has anyone wondered why I wasn't included in this interview and why Robin Smith is pretending to be the parent of my son? So Casey Smith, Noah's mom, at the time was calling out Noah's aunt Robin Smith for being at the forefront and acting as the parent, the mother to Noah. Wow. Casey says, I was never invited or told, and still to this day, they don't. I was sitting in my son's truck and my own brother told me I to get the hell out, then called the police on me and had me removed. My mother, Deborah Smith, will not let me go through or have anything of my son's possessions. The only reason he was staying there was because she couldn't tell her grandchild no. Robin Smith helped my mom get him emancipated, and they hid him from me for 2 months until he was his own man. They do nothing but use me as a punching bag. None of them have hugged me or called to see how I'm doing. I raised him and my daughter until he was 16. I haven't even been interviewed by no one. I'd like to know what y'all have to say about this because my mom thinks I just want money. She won't even give us, DJ and I, a place to sleep. I asked for the camper to use until I can get back on my feet, but that was a hell no. Keith Smith told me that I don't deserve nothing of my son, and so did my mum. And that's words from Casey Smith. Almost left out, isolated. Noah's actual mum, isolated and denied of having certain items and possessions to remember of her own son. So just based on this, when there was a time at some point, maybe 2024, when Casey did receive personal items or possessions from Noah handed over, by whom exactly, don't know, then could do anything with them, and also decided to honour and pass them on to the ex, Dwayne, because they had a good time in the past and Noah was close to them, and so on. But not directly, but was it like a middle finger up, as in, you've denied me of this and that, Deborah Smith, Robin Smith, and so on. They've denied me of this and that, of my own son. Now it's time for me to have my moment and remember my son and have items and clothing and possessions to do with Noah, which I keep to some extent, and then either pass on to like Dwayne so we can remember him properly. And as for the other family members that screwed us over or screwed me over, well, tough. And, you know, this breakdown in communication, this darkness from the past may have carried on since. And like, yeah, when it does come to interviews and coverage, it's been Ashley Chadwick, it's been Robin Smith, a bit of Deborah Smith as well. Not really seen Casey Smith much at all, if not ever. And there might be the odd exception here and there, but it's interesting. And like how Chell answered about Noah being emancipated, and it's mentioned here by Casey himself. The only reason he was staying there was we couldn't tell the grandchild. Robin Smith helped my mom get him emancipated, and they hid him from me for 2 months. So it's quite shocking, this. And then linking it back to this here about Dwayne, once been in relationship with Casey, maybe 7 years, as Tim says, close to know to some extent, that maybe it was a way of just having their own little connection, their own little bubble, shutting the world out, shutting maybe other family members out who's denied her stuff at some points previous. Just let me know, have you seen this before? Are you shocked by it? So rounding it back to the language, wording, response, the key word, well, it's irrelevant anyway from what Dwayne said. Irrelevant what? Because the tank top that Noah wore at the party, which you had at a later point, which could be considered as a piece of evidence, is irrelevant because Noah took it off at the party, and when he walked away from the house he wasn't wearing it, and when he died he wasn't wearing it, so it's not going to tell much of a story linking to the actual death or the cause of death or who could be responsible or the environment, location it took place in. Is that what Dwayne's getting at? Because it was quite vague at the time. Maybe more could have been answered or more context could have been provided if people hadn't pushed Dwayne away too much. But to say it's irrelevant sounds a bit, ooh, is that the correct wording to be used? If the clothing what Dwayne had wasn't to do with at the party, but it was to do with Noah in general in life, it's not going to be of much evidence or use to the case because it doesn't link and it wasn't within the case or the party to begin with. Yeah, you can consider it irrelevant, but anything that was Noah's possessions, items at the time of the party, throughout the party, Sunday, Monday, and onwards, it's a piece of evidence. It can tell some kind of story to some extent. So this tank top, which Dwayne has, which Casey, I guess, passed on to Dwayne, how did Casey obtain it then? Was it through police? If it was through police, I can understand that, as in, what they've already processed it, they've already looked at it and analysed it and determined, well, it's not that relevant or it's been cleared, you can have it back now, like the phones or devices which were given back to certain party goers, which had the snap to do with Mikey Lair in bed, 5:27, the 4:30 of Logan and Carter getting back from supposedly searching for Noah, the Pepe Guam, was it 2:32 in the morning of Monday with Mikey out under a cone, things like that, which were eventually able to be given the Greens thumbs up, as in posted public, and before couldn't be because it was in the possession of the police, the devices. Is that the same with the tank top, or did the tank top just fast track past the police because police never went to the house, police never took anything from the house? So any of Noah's possessions which remained at the house either remain a mystery till this day, missing, or some of which was collected by somehow some people, maybe partygoers, and passed on properly. What's the deal? I mean, in terms of everything that Noah Presgrove was wearing when he left the party, was it all accounted for at the highway? I know people talk about the chain. I mean, depending on how you interpret it, from the autopsy report, implies it's broken into pieces and it might not be the full piece. But then from the wrongful death lawsuit, it's more so worded as in it was broken up into 3 parts, 3 pieces. As in, it's the whole thing, it's just broken up, divided. So if it was stuck back together, you'd get the whole piece again. That's how I interpret it. So if you've got a full necklace, it's just broken up, but it's all present at the highway. You got one of Noah's shoe present and accounted for, and one of Caden's accounted for, and a pair of shorts at least. Was that everything that Noah was wearing when he exited the house to never be seen alive again? Or as he was walking away from the house, did he have any additional items on him? His wallet, his hat, his sunglasses, his phone supposedly left behind, but at least that was retrieved and collected and accounted for and handed in to police from the looks of it. How come the other items then, which remained at the house, didn't get the same treatment as Noah's phone? What, because they weren't deemed as important, but a phone could be, because it might reveal some data, some messages, call logs to that extent, but clothing that's left behind, which does not follow Noah up to his death, is not going to be of much use, because you can't use clothing which wasn't on Noah at the time of the death, because that clothing isn't going to give any blood or touch-based DNA, which is relevant to the death part. So I get that. But the wallet, complete mystery. The golf clubs and bag, which wasn't Noah's possessions, they were actually Dalen's. Dalen is deserving of having them back, but they've not been returned, so what the hell's gone on there? So it's a very weird situation. Look, this is the thing, not that it may apply directly here, but when it came to the Dylan Rounds case, I did a very, very important map analysis and a deep discussion of hierarchy of evidence. What's most important, what's most valuable. And I was saying how there's some items more valuable than other items, and the most valuable items, a couple were found or poorly disposed of. And then other items which aren't as valuable were never to be seen again, disposed of very well. It's a weird, there's no consistent pattern there. In terms of the phone in the Dylan Rounds case, disposed of, but retrieved and found at the pond. Didn't do a good job there. Forensic dive found relevant stuff on it, incriminating to the killer. So, not good enough. The wallet, though, never found. Presgrove, wallet not found. You see? Some interesting similarities, but the phone was. There was a weird comment by someone, and I can't remember who now, said that a person or someone tried hiding Noah's phone under a fridge. Why? Regardless, it was found anyway. So you let me know your thoughts, and the response by Dwayne, as in saying, well, it's irrelevant anyway. Yeah, I've got Noah's tank top, and I've got other items as well, which I'm not going to talk about, but it's irrelevant. What? So it's just not evidence, that's it, case closed? Or is there a bit more of a backstory behind it? I've given possibilities, but do need a bit of a clearer answer. In the meantime, we'll see where things go, and appreciate you watching. If you found the video somewhat interesting, you want to hit the thumbs up, I'll appreciate that, and I'll see you next time. My name's Wyatt Raff. Goodbye, good night for now.